Jamie from Smedley Wood Design here, and in today's video we're going to take a break from upgrading the CNC to creating a new doggy gate for this opening. This past week we got a new little puppy, and she is all over the place, and as she gets older she's going to be able to push this cardboard box out of the way. Plus, this is not the best solution for trying to get through this opening, stepping over this big cardboard box. So we're going to make a doggy gate right here, and at the same time we're going to replace the door jambs. It looks like from the construction it had hinges on both sides of the door, and it looks like the door opened up like a saloon style door, hinged on each side, and then we'll create the doggy gate. All right, let's get started. Alright, to start this build, I got the materials I need. I've got the hinges I picked up at my local Menards, and I got two different latches. This is more of a traditional gate latch. This is another like slide latch, and I'm not sure which one I'll use, but when I get to that point, we'll look at it and decide which one looks the best. Alright, so for the door jamb part of it, I've got this 1/2-inch MDF that I'm gonna cut down to create the door jamb. I've got some trim to go on the outside. Now the reason I went this route was because at the hardware store, the material that you would get for door jambs was like $30 for 3 pieces just to do the jamb. And so this MDF was $30 itself, 1/2-inch 4x8. And I figured what I don't use for the door jamb, I will use with other projects. All right. So 1x4x8s for the door, or for the gate. And I'm gonna triple it up, so it's gonna be a pretty thick gate. But I'm going to leave sections out that the balusters or slats are gonna go in. And that's how I'm gonna create the joint between the top and bottom and the balusters. So that's the construction method. I'll go into more detail as I start building it. And then for the other part of it, for the balusters, I'm going to use a 2x4. Again, at the hardware store, when I was looking at balusters, they were $5 a baluster. And that was pretty expensive, but I figured I could probably get 6 balusters out of a 2x4 once I get it down, cut down and built down. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it'll turn out okay. So let's get started. All right, now that I got those cut and sanded, I need to go into the house and tear out the old door jamb. So let's go in there and do that now. Now that I got the door jamb out, I can go ahead and cut to length the sides of the door jamb and cut a rabbet at the top to receive the top part of the door jamb. Alright, now that I got those cut, that fits in there really well. I need to go measure the opening of the door and then subtract those 2 dimensions together. And that'll get me the width or the length of the top piece. Alright, now that I got the top piece cut out, I can go ahead and assemble the door jamb and put some nails in it. Alright, after getting everything assembled, I take the door jamb inside and add the trim. Now I add the trim beforehand on one side, making it easy to install the jamb in the door opening. So I've cut these down a little bit oversized because I'm going to mill them down. Each one of these 2x4s is going to become 2 1.25 by 1.25 balusters, basically. So now that I have all the pieces squared out, I need to sand the edges. So I don't have a wide belt sander, so I decided to go ahead and use my belt sander upside down, clamped to the table, so I can have some control over the pieces of wood. So if you're thinking to yourself, this may not be the best idea, now you got to hold on to that piece of wood really tight, otherwise you're going to lose it. Right about there. Got to be careful, got to keep your digits away from that belt. Alright, to give the balusters a nice smooth edge, I'm going ahead and using a 1/4 inch roundover, and then I'll sand those up afterwards. Alright, so in order to have the balusters go into the top and bottom of the gate, I'm going to notch each side of the baluster, giving it a sort of a shoulder that'll go into the top and bottom, giving it a nice clean look. So I've got the sides and top and bottom all cut out, and I'm going to start assembling this. Now this is where I probably should have created this gate in 4 pieces, the top and bottom, the sides, and not assembled it at this point. It would have been easier to sand before I put the balusters in, but at the time I wasn't thinking about that. So I'm just assembling it right here, making sure that the sides are square to the top and bottom. Alright, so after I got all the sides assembled, before I put the top piece on, I'm figuring out the spacing for the balusters, and I figured out it was about 2.5 inches between balusters, and I'll go ahead and glue these little spacers in right now. So this is where it would have came in handy if I did the top, bottom, and 2 sides separately in sanding, because now that, I've got the part of it sanded, but once I put the balusters in, I will not be able to sand the rest of it. Now that I have the whole thing assembled and nailed together and glued, I'm going to put a round over edge on all the surfaces. Now before I varnish and stain this, I'm going to figure out the hinge locations and get those installed temporarily. These hinges come with a pin in them, so I can make installing it on the door jamb a lot easier. For the stain for this one, we're going with Minwax Colonial Maple. Alright, so I got the dog gate all done, I got it stained, and I'm going to put on this Minwax 1 coat polyurethane varnish or finish on it. It's water cleanup, but I watered it down a little bit, and I am going to use my Wagner Floex IO 590. So I've already done 1 coat on one side, and it turned out pretty good after I watered it down. Let's get the other coat on. Alright, I've got the gate all varnished, ready to go. I got the 2 side pieces. This is going to be where the hinges are. And I got another little piece right here where the latch will attach to on the side. I've also got a 2-inch block that I'm going to use as a spacer to secure this piece. And I got to attach hinges this other side. This is where it comes in handy to have the hinges separated by pulling the pin. This makes it a lot easier to put the door on using the pins. So I did decide to go with the slide lock instead of the gate lock. Just a lot simpler and not so bulky. I did need to alter the block that attached to the door jamb. That way it wouldn't overswing the other way and break the hinges off. Come here. Come here. Now you can't get out. There you go. So I've had this gate installed for a couple weeks now, and it is working fantastic. I'm so happy I did it. She cannot body slam the box and get it out of the way. This gate works awesome. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next project.